In my previous life, he died with my name on his lips and hatred in his eyes. Adrian Shaw's fingers had been slick with blood when he grabbed the collar of my shirt and yanked me close, like he needed me to hear the words, even if the whole world went silent afterward. His jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle jump. "Evelyn," he rasped, "if I ever get another life, I'd rather never have met you." That sentence became my coffin. He hated me for using the Lang family's influence to drag him into a marriage he never wanted. He hated me for tearing apart his affair, for ruining what he called love. And when Serena Vale, his precious Serena, died in that so-called accident, he pinned the tragedy on me like a medal of shame. He didn't need evidence. He didn't need logic. He needed a villain, and I was convenient. After he died saving me, the public didn't call it sacrifice. They called it justice. 6 months. That was all it took for Lang Group to collapse under a storm of backlash that felt engineered, surgical, malicious. Sponsors fled, partners cut ties, headlines devoured us. And then the fans, his loyal, vicious A's, found my parents. A car accident, the police said. A clean report, a closed case. I knew better. By the time Adrian's parents stood over me with eyes like knives and mouths full of curses, I had nothing left but regret that tasted like rust. That night, I climbed to the rooftop and told myself falling would hurt less than living. Then I opened my eyes. Fluorescent light, a government building, the smell of paper and ink, a plastic chair digging into the back of my legs. And across from me, alive, breathing, real, sat Adrian Shaw in a dark coat, his gaze sharp with disgust, like I was something sticky he couldn't wash off. My heart stuttered so violently it felt like it might break my ribs on the way out. He leaned forward, voice low, lethal. "Even if you force me to marry you, I'll never love you. I'll never touch you. Get that through your head." I stared at the counter window where a clerk waited, bored and impatient, and realised the unthinkable. I was back on the day I registered my marriage with him. "Don't touch me!" Adrian slapped my hand away as it drifted toward his sleeve, an instinct from a life where I still believed in begging. His eyes narrowed. "If you want the certificate, hurry up, 1 minute. Fill it out yourself." He tossed the documents at me like I was trash he wanted off his hands, then stood as if to leave. The sting in my knuckles grounded me. This wasn't a dream. This was mercy, or punishment, or both. In my last life, I chased his back. I cried, pleaded, promised. I thought if I endured long enough, he would soften. I thought marriage could become love if I tried hard enough. All I did was trap a man who never belonged to me and burn my entire world down for it. This time, I wouldn't repeat the same mistake. I swallowed the sob rising in my throat and forced myself to breathe, slowly, steadily, like a woman who had already died once and wasn't afraid of anything anymore. Then I lifted my chin and signalled the bodyguards stationed near the door. "Keep him distracted," I murmured, "and bring Serena Vale in now." She appeared moments later, stepping out from the shadowy corridor like she owned the building, beautiful, proud, smug. Her neck long and pale like a swan presenting itself for worship. When her eyes landed on me, the corners of her mouth curled. "So," she drawled, "you called me here to show off? Go ahead, force Adrian to marry you. It won't matter. The only one he's ever loved is me." I stepped closer until we were almost nose to nose and smiled like I was admiring her confidence. "So what?" I said softly. "As long as I want it, he'll still marry me." Her eyes flashed. Good. In my last life, this was the moment she baited me into becoming the monster in Adrian's story. She'd staged her fall near the road, grabbed my wrist, and thrown herself backward at the perfect second, right when Adrian turned around. I hadn't pushed her, but the world believed I did. Not this time. "Did you bring your ID?" I asked. Serena's hand tightened around her bag. "What are you planning?" I didn't answer. I reached for the zipper. She jerked back, outraged, but my grip was iron. Her threats poured out. Adrian will ruin you. Adrian will never forgive you, until I found what I wanted. Her identification card, her paperwork, the keys to her future. At the counter, the clerk barely glanced at our faces. To them, we were just names on forms. My pen moved with terrifying calm. I switched the documents. Adrian Shaw and Serena Vale. I watched the red marriage certificate slide across the counter like sealed fate. 2 bright scarlet books, 2 stamps, 2 signatures. Serena stared as if the floor had vanished beneath her. Evelyn, what did you do? I could beg. Closed my fingers over my own chest where my heart ached with an old, familiar pain, and I smiled anyway. Consider it a gift, I said. You wanted him, now you have him. Tell him however you like. Her lips trembled. You're insane. Maybe. I tucked the certificate away and turned, feeling lighter with every step. But only insane people repeat the same tragedy twice. Outside, I expected Adrian to be gone. He wasn't. He stood by his car, expression tight, like impatience had grown teeth. What took you so long? For a second, I forgot how to breathe. In my last life, I would have run to him, clinging to scraps of attention like they were oxygen. Now, I simply looked at him, really looked. The man who would later die saving me, the man who would later curse my existence. The man I was finally letting go. I won't waste your time anymore, I said. Adrian's brow furrowed, as if he couldn't recognize the version of me standing in front of him. His hand lifted, an instinct maybe, to wipe away the tears he thought I was crying for him. Then he caught himself and dropped it, annoyed at his own softness. Stop acting pitiful, he snapped. Go home, wipe your face. If your parents see you like this, they'll think I bullied you. I laughed under my breath, not because it was funny, but because it was unbearable. In another life, those words would have been hope. Now, they were a goodbye. Thank you, I whispered, and meant it in a way he would never understand. For everything you did, even when you didn't want to. He stiffened, a flicker of unease crossing his eyes, like something precious was slipping away, and he didn't know how to grab it. Then I turned and walked off, each step cutting the invisible chain between us. As I pushed open the door back home, I collided with a solid chest, warm, steady, unfamiliar. A man caught my shoulders before I could stumble. A magnetic voice sounded above me, amused and breathless. Evelyn Lang, you're still as reckless as you were when you were 9. I looked up into a pair of bright, captivating eyes, and my entire timeline tilted. Behind me, my father's voice thundered from the living room. Evelyn, didn't you go register your marriage today? I inhaled, tasting freedom like clean air after drowning. Then I said the words that would change everything. Dad, Mum. I steadied myself and smiled. I'm not marrying Adrian Shaw. Back then, Adrian Shaw wasn't just my first love. He was the kind of person you mistake for a god when you're young and terrified and the world is too sharp for your bare hands. He pulled me out of danger more than once. He stood between me and things that could have ruined me, not because he loved me, but because that was simply who he was. Clean, stubborn, and stupidly righteous. And I loved him anyway, even when he looked at me like I was a stain, even when he said my name the way people say a curse. My heart still betrayed me every time he appeared. It beat too fast, too loud, like it wanted to run into his arms and beg for a second chance. The worst part was, I once believed I could make him fall for me. His parents adored me. They didn't trust Serena Vale. They saw through the sweetness in her voice and the innocence in her eyes. If I had been patient, if I had been smart, if I hadn't pushed and forced and clawed at love like a starving person. But forced things never truly belong to you. So when my mother squeezed my hands that night and asked carefully, Evelyn, are you sure you're okay? Are you sure you've thought it through? I nodded, holding my smile together like fragile glass. Mum, don't worry. I've thought it through. From now on, I'll stay with you and Dad. I'm done chasing a man who never wanted me. She looked relieved, then hesitated and lowered her voice as if she didn't want the walls to overhear. Then, do you feel like Noah is acting different around you lately? Noah. That name hit like a small stone dropped into still water. I'd been running into him everywhere these past few days, on the driveway, by the garden, once even outside my window, like a ghost from childhood that refused to stay buried. My throat went dry. Noah? Mum gave a soft laugh. Your father and I once considered a marriage alliance with the Carter family. When you were little, you always insisted Noah was yours, but later you fell so hard for Adrian, we let the idea go. I don't want anything right now, I blurted, almost too fast. I just want to stay here with you and Dad, and I want that fruit pudding you make, the one with the coconut milk. All right. She patted my cheek, smiling through lingering worry. I'll make it for you. She turned toward the kitchen, and the moment she stepped away, the balcony door slid open without a sound. A tall figure appeared like he'd been there all along, one shoulder leaning against the frame, eyes bright with wicked amusement. Noah Carter, Evelyn Lang, he said lightly. Why are you staring like you've seen a miracle? I jerked upright. Why are you on my balcony? He lifted an eyebrow, then nodded toward the corner where a narrow metal ladder connected our homes, something so childish, so ridiculous, it didn't belong in the life of adults. Because you're forgetful. His mouth curved. You begged our families to install that ladder when you were 8, so you could climb over and bother me whenever you wanted. Heat crawled up my face. That was when we were kids. Oh? He stepped forward, and the moonlight caught his sharp profile. That's unfortunate, I frowned. What's unfortunate? His smile widened, lazy and dangerous. If you won't bother me anymore, I'll bother you instead. My heart thumped once more hard. Noah, what exactly do you want? He didn't answer immediately. His gaze turned heavy, the teasing draining away like water. Evelyn, he said, voice low, do you believe in reincarnation? My spine went cold. Because there are questions that are harmless, and questions that feel like someone reaching into your chest and closing their hand around the truth. My voice came out thin. Why are you asking me that? Noah looked straight into my eyes and spoke slowly, each word landing like a nail. You let Adrian Shaw marry someone else, he said. Not because you're incompatible, not because of fate. He leaned closer, so close I could see the faint scar near his brow, one I didn't remember from childhood, one that looked like it belonged to a different life. You did it because you came back too, didn't you? The room tilted. I glanced toward the kitchen door, toward my mother, then grabbed Noah by the sleeve and dragged him out before my shaking hands could. Give me away! Come with me! I hissed. We ended up at a quiet coffee shop tucked behind a row of trees, the kind of place people went when they wanted secrets to stay secret, the kind of place where the music was soft enough to hide trembling voices. I sat across from him, fingers wrapped tightly around a warm cup I hadn't tasted. How did you? I swallowed. How did you know? Noah's laugh was bitter, because in my last life, I also came back on the day you registered your marriage. My breath caught. He looked down, eyelashes lowering like a curtain. But you never saw me, Evelyn. Your eyes and heart were only on Adrian. So what difference would it have made if I stood in front of you? The guilt that rose in my throat was sharp. Noah, not now. His tone cut cleanly. This isn't the time for apologies. He pulled a photo from his wallet and slid it across the table. Serena Vale, perfect smile, perfect lighting, perfect lie. Aunt? May said you're preparing a wedding banquet, Noah said. For her. I stared at the photo, my stomach turning. Yes, Noah's eyes hardened. That woman isn't clean. I know, I whispered, but it doesn't matter anymore. It does. He leaned forward, voice dropping. Because in the last life, she didn't just destroy you, she destroyed your entire family. And you still don't know the worst part. My fingers tightened. Tell me. Noah's jaw flexed, as if he was holding something back that hurt to release. In the last life, he said, when the public storm swallowed the Lang family, there was a team online that quietly defended you. I froze. I remembered them. Anonymous accounts, calm receipts, evidence that appeared like a shield in the chaos. A name I'd seen once, blinking on my screen through tears before I'd been too broken to care. Moon Guardian. Noah's eyes didn't leave my face. That team was mine. My lungs forgot how to work. He continued, voice steady, brutal in its honesty. I fought Serena in the dark for 3 years. I stopped what I could. I failed at what I couldn't. And in the end, I died once too, trying to cut off the knife she'd already buried in your family. My vision blurred. Pain surged up my chest so violently, I doubled forward, hand pressed to my heart like I could physically hold myself together. Noah was beside me instantly, arms around my shoulders, pulling me into his warmth. Breathe, he murmured. Evelyn, look at me. You're here. You're alive. This time is different. I couldn't stop trembling. It hurts, I choked. It still hurts, like it's happening all over again. I know. His palm smoothed over my hair with quiet, relentless patience. Cry if you need to. No one will laugh at you here. The moment my sobs eased, Noah shifted back, and then, with a seriousness that made the air feel heavier, he dropped to one knee, right there beside the table. Evelyn, he said, voice firm, eyes burning, will you marry me? My mind went blank. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. A sudden blur slammed into Noah, a fist, a sharp, vicious impact that sent him crashing to the floor. I lurched up, heart snapping into my throat. Adrian Shaw stood there with bloodshot eyes, fury carved into every line of his face, like a husband catching betrayal. The reason you haven't come home, he snarled, staring straight at me, is because you've been out here fooling around with other men, haven't you? My hand moved before my brain did. A slap cracked across the air. Adrian's face snapped to the side. The entire shop went silent. I didn't even look at him as I crouched beside Noah, helping him sit up, my voice shaking but controlled. Are you hurt? Noah blinked slowly, then, shamelessly, leaned into my shoulder like a wounded golden retriever. It hurts, he murmured, loud enough for Adrian to hear. Evelyn, take me to the hospital. Adrian's eyes nearly ignited. I'm your husband. I finally lifted my gaze to him, calm settling over me like ice. Husband? I repeated softly. You said we'd live separately after the certificate, but if you're having second thoughts... I stepped closer, voice sweet as poison. How about we go back right now, I said, and consummate this marriage like a real couple? Adrian turned red to the tips of his ears and shoved me back, scandalized. Evelyn Lang, do you have no shame? I tilted my head, unbothered. Didn't you just call yourself my husband? Isn't it natural for a wife to sleep with her husband? Serena Vale stood not far away, face stiff, eyes flickering with panic. I smiled at her once, briefly, coldly, then looked back at Adrian. See you at the wedding banquet tomorrow, I said, and this time, when I walked away, I didn't look back. I didn't find out the truth until 3 years later, when I was already standing on the other side of survival. In my last life, after Noah Carter returned to the country and saw that I had already married Adrian Shaw, he didn't appear in front of me, not once, not even a single Evelyn spoken aloud. He stayed in the dark. He watched from behind like a shadow that refused to step into the light, because he knew my eyes wouldn't look anywhere else. He knew my heart would never turn, and when the storm finally came, when Serena Vale and the Hua family started tightening the net around the Lang family, Noah was the first one to move. The anonymous team that defended us online, the calm voices that dropped evidence like shields, the accounts that fought back against slander without ever taking credit. Moonkeeper. It had been him. He discovered Serena wasn't acting alone. She was the pretty face they put in front of the knife, sent by the Hua family, backed by an insider planted inside Lang Group. They'd been planning for years, waiting for the perfect moment to make my family bleed in public. Noah tried to cut the strings, but the Carter family's power wasn't rooted domestically. His reach was wide, but not deep enough where it mattered. Once the Hua family realized he'd detected them, they didn't just target him. They informed the Carter family's rivals overseas, turning Noah into prey on every map. Enemies on all sides. So, in that life, he chose mutual destruction. He took Serena down with him. He died, so the Lang family would have a chance to breathe one more day. When I pieced it all together on the plane, when the last missing detail finally clicked into place, I stared at Noah like he was both my punishment and my salvation. And then my tears broke loose. Noah's hands were immediately on my face, clumsy, desperate. "Wife, don't cry. It hurts my heart." His voice cracked. "It's your fault for not telling me sooner. I thought you were angry at me that night when I was drunk. I didn't mean to." I swallowed hard. I know, that day, I was the one who started it. His eyes turned wet instantly, like a golden retriever that had just been forgiven for chewing the couch. "Then you can hit me, scold me, just please don't ignore me." I exhaled. The words slipped out before I could stop them. "Okay." Noah froze. His face went blank for half a second, then he blinked, slow and disbelieving. "What?" I panicked. "If you didn't hear it, forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything." But Noah didn't pretend. He lunged forward, arms wrapping around my waist like a lock. "No, no, no." Each word was a vow. "I won't let go. I won't let go. I won't let go in this life. Noah, let go of me. I won't." He buried his face in my shoulder like he'd found home. "My wife finally loves me. I'm the happiest man in the world." "Who said I love you?" I tried to sound cold, but my voice shook. "I was just comforting you because you were crying." Noah lifted his head, eyes bright and shameless. "The puppy doesn't care about reasons. The puppy only cares about getting meat." I swore under my breath and covered his mouth with my hand while the flight attendant walked past. Then we landed, and the universe, with its cruel sense of timing, placed Adrian Shaw in the airport terminal like a test I hadn't studied for. 3 years had sharpened him. He looked more composed, quieter, the kind of calm that came from having nothing left to lose, still handsome, still dangerous to my heartbeat in the way old wounds are dangerous. Noah noticed my gaze immediately. His arm slid around my waist, possessive, childish. "Wife," he murmured near my ear, "are you trying to make me jealous by staring at other men?" "Stop," I hissed, elbowing him. "You're embarrassing." "I'm not." He tightened his grip and lowered his voice. "I'll call Mum right now and tell her you're bullying me." I rolled my eyes and dragged him forward. "You're noisy! Hurry up and go home." That was when Adrian grabbed my wrist. His fingers were hot, trembling with restraint. His eyes weren't just angry. There was anxiety there, and something like grievance he had no right to wear. "What are you doing?" he demanded, staring at Noah's arm around me. "She's my wife, Evelyn." Noah's smile vanished. His shoulders squared like he was ready to bite. I looked at Adrian calmly. 3 years ago, didn't we already make things clear? Do you have anything left to say? "That was your decision," Adrian said hoarsely. "Your unilateral decision." Did you ever consider how I felt? And then, shockingly, his eyes reddened. He was crying. Noah snapped, stepping forward, but I held him back with one hand, firm. Then I faced Adrian fully. I never regret what I do, I said, but the one thing I regret is liking you. Adrian flinched like I'd slapped him again. You were the one who said you'd rather never have met me, I continued, voice steady. I'm fulfilling your wish. I didn't, he choked. Those weren't my words. Even if you don't say it now, I replied quietly, sooner or later you will. It's better to stop before it turns into blood. Adrian reached for me like he wanted to pull me back through time. Noah cut in sharply, hand landing on my stomach with deliberate intimacy. Wife, how long are you going to talk to this person? Hurry up! Don't let our son go hungry. My entire body froze. I swatted his hand away, mortified. Noah! Adrian went rigid. His gaze dropped to my belly as if the air had punched him. I turned and walked faster, voice trembling with anger that was half fear. How did you even... Noah leaned close, smug. It's obvious. Behind me, the two men exchanged a silent glance, one full of war, one full of victory, and for once, my ridiculous puppy won. Back in Yun City, Lang Group took Hua Corporation apart with absolute advantage. In my last life, Serena had been Hua's knife. This time, I made sure that knife never reached my throat. The insider was dragged into the light. The conspiracy collapsed like rotten scaffolding. Serena, once so proud, so untouchable, became a discarded piece. I heard she still refused to divorce Adrian because he'd become a rising star again, and she clung to him like a lifeline. But Adrian no longer looked at her the way he once had. His obsession had shifted to me. Unfortunately for him, the Carter family and the Lang family wrapped me in protection so tight, not even a rumor could slip through. If I didn't want to see someone, I simply wouldn't. Until the day he went truly mad. He posted a long essay online begging me to meet him, not for love, not for forgiveness, for truth. When I finally agreed, I didn't know he'd been dreaming fragments of his past life, little flashes that made him frantic, desperate, half insane. And I didn't know Serena had been watching the entire time. By the time I arrived, both Adrian and I were already tied up inside an abandoned house. Dust in the air, rope biting into skin, Serena stood in front of us with a knife and eyes that had cracked open into madness. It's because of you, she hissed at me, voice shaking with hate. You get everything. Why do you get to have everything? You hurt people first, I said, throat tight. You brought this on yourself. Let her go, Adrian said harshly, struggling against the ropes. Serena laughed and turned to him, tears sliding down her face like poison. Adrian, I'm your wife. That woman threw you away like garbage the day she got the certificate. Don't you hate her? Adrian stared at me, and in his eyes there was regret so deep it made my stomach twist. Evelyn, he said, voice breaking, you misunderstood me from start to finish. The person I loved was you. In my last life, I admit I hated how you used power. But later, I wanted to live well with you. Everything was ruined because of her. I wanted to protect you. I don't want to listen. I cut him off, shaking my head. Even if that's true, the one who hurt me most was you. His mouth opened. I didn't let him speak. You said you loved me, but all I felt was your indifference and disgust. You let her hurt me and called it misunderstanding. This is what you call love. Evelyn, it doesn't matter anymore, I whispered. You said life could start over, so pretend we never met. Serena's face twisted. She raised the dagger. Enough! Her voice went sharp, hysterical. None of you are leaving. She pressed the blade closer. Adrian, one last chance. Promise you'll live a good life with me, and I'll let her go. If you don't speak, I'll kill Evelyn first. Adrian's eyes went bloodshot. I promise, he said hoarsely, but you have to release her first. Serena's breathing hitched, hope and madness colliding. Really? You'll make me your true Mrs. Shaw? Yes, Adrian lied, eyes locked on me. Release her. Serena stepped closer. The knife hovered near my rope. Then she suddenly twisted, laughter erupting like shattered glass. Do you think I'm stupid? She screamed. You capitalists only know how to kick people when they're down. Her arm flashed. The blade shot straight toward my chest. No, Adrian roared, throwing himself forward, tearing at the ropes. A gunshot split the world. Silence fell like a curtain. Serena crumpled, and Noah Carter burst through the door with his men, his face white with terror as he grabbed me, shaking. Evelyn, he choked. I'm here. I'm here. I hugged him back, patting his shoulders, trying to calm his trembling. I'm fine. I'm fine. Then he broke. You scared me to death, he sobbed. Do you know that? I sighed helplessly and murmured into his hair. Did you forget the 3 years abroad? The karate? If it weren't for your son... I glanced down at my stomach, breath catching. I would have escaped already. Noah froze mid-sob. He looked up slowly, eyes red, disbelieving. Honey, can you say that again? I opened my mouth. A sharp cramp twisted through me. I grabbed his sleeve, face paling. Noah, my stomach hurts. His expression shattered. Ambulance! He screamed, turning wild. Call an ambulance! After that day, every hidden danger was cleared. Lang Group became untouchable. Adrian's company was dragged down by the scandal and the aftermath. He sold it, left Yun City with his parents, and vanished from my world the way I had always intended. On the day I married Noah Carter for real, the wind was gentle, the sky bright, and the flowers outside the venue smelled like a beginning. Someone sent a grand gift. A certain jealous husband quietly had it taken away before it could reach my eyes, and this time there were no misunderstandings, only light. Only home, only the start of happiness.